before we get started on talking about this very important issue, voting, I mean, that's been the underlying theme here as well in the conference. I wanted to share a video that our local Congresswoman Susan Wild has sent to the conference. She couldn't be here because obviously she's a Congresswoman and she has so many other things that she's dealing with, but she wanted to be a part of the conference. So I want to share this short clip with you guys with her message.
I'm delighted to speak with all of you taking part in the Northampton Community College Peace and Social Justice Conference. As your representative, my job is to carry the voices of our people to the halls of Congress, to shape legislation that will improve the everyday lives of people throughout our community, to advocate for the interests of our community, and above all, to reflect the values and aspirations that unite us as a community. Our democracy is only as strong as it is inclusive. Our country only works if it works for all of us. Individually, each of us has a role in shaping a future of common purpose, a future we can only realize if we stand together. As someone who was first elected to Congress in 2018 and the first woman to represent our community in the House of Representatives, I have seen firsthand the difference that it can make when young people, women, communities of color, and people of all backgrounds organized to make their voices heard and elect the leaders they support. It's been an incredibly hard year for so many Pennsylvanians. As we recover from this crisis together, we need leaders who get things done and bring people together. And that's why this election is more important than ever before. So as we approach a historic election on November 3rd, think about how you will make your voice heard. Voting in the 2020 election is the single most powerful thing you can do for your country right now. This means registering to vote, learning about the candidates on your ballot, and really thinking about the issues that are important to you. Make a plan to get to the polls in a safe way. If you have a mail-in ballot you haven't yet returned, there are drop-off stations in each county. Please remember that if you are voting by mail, you must enclose your ballot in the secrecy envelope, then return the envelope and complete and sign the voter declaration for your vote to be counted. If you want to vote in person, wear a mask, keep 6 feet apart from others, and be patient. And it doesn't stop with your vote. You have the power to get people around you excited about this election too. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk about voting early, talk about issues, talk about voting from home. This election will affect everyone in our community, so it's so important that everyone is counted. Join with others and stay involved. Devote your talents and energy to the work of sharing the future that you want to see. Together, we can move this country forward. Thank you again to the wonderful folks at Northampton Community College for including me in this engaging and important conference. Now, go make your plan to vote. Thanks.
Okay, so obviously you heard the message. Go out there and vote. And for that, we have a couple of amazing, as I mentioned, amazing people that will be participating in the session. We have Enid Santiago, who is, as she says, a proud daughter to a single mother, born in Puerto Rico and is living now in Allentown with her partner Brenda, who is currently running for state representative of the 22nd district. Then we will also have Paz Simpson, who is the program director at Promise Neighborhoods, and also is working with Zero Youth Violence, which is committed to getting Allentown to 0 murders of our youth ages 25 and under. He is a father of 4 and a published author, and of course a community activist. He also was a panelist in the panel right before this one. And then Tara Zrinsky, who is our recently elected, I think in 2018, right?
2017, I was elected.
Okay, thank you. 2017 to our Northampton County Council, and currently she is running to become state representative for the 138th district.
Yep.
Yay, I got that down. She is also a adjunct faculty at Northampton Community College, as well as overall involved, and as all of our panelists, in a lot of community activism. We will also have a few words from Stanley Abida, who's the director of the Center for Civic and Community Engagement at Northampton Community College. But we just heard Representative Wild tell us that, we need to vote. So I was thinking that we would each talk about 10 or so minutes, kind of introduce your thoughts, your ideas, your focus, and then we'll have a conversation together. If there are questions, please put that in the chat, and then we will be bringing those questions up as our panelists start their conversation. So Enid, do you want to take us off in this journey?
Absolutely. First of all, how is everybody doing? I really hope that, you're ready. We have, what is it? I think it's 19 days to election. So we are literally right around the corner of election. And I do want to clarify something from Anita. I'm actually a candidate for the State House of the 22nd District. Oh. My partner, you could not pay her $1 billion trillion to do what we're doing out here right now. But I'm excited. And I hope that every single one of you is also as excited. I mean, we are really going to have possibly the most important election of our entire lifetime. And I do not say this lightly, right? As a brown woman, as someone that has been marginalized her entire life, I'm a single mother. I literally went through the foster care system. I've been homeless. So when we're talking elections 2020, we're talking about my entire life could disappear overnight. I'm a gay woman. I mean, we're fighting for the gays' rights right now also, on top of the women's rights, on top of, literally everything. I mean, it's just stacking and stacking and stacking the reasons why we absolutely have to show up and vote. And I want to bring a couple of things. I'm super excited that Susan is really engaged on, getting people out to vote, encouraging, making sure that we're educated, especially with this new mail-in ballot. A lot of people do not understand exactly how it works. And now that if there is no, confidentiality ballot, so we need that white envelope. You need to put your ballot inside a white envelope. If that white envelope does not exist, guess what? You didn't vote. It's that simple. Your vote will not be counted. So we need to make sure that you fill in your ballot, put that on the white envelope, seal that envelope, put it now in the blue envelope, seal that envelope, sign, date, put your address. You have to make sure that you know exactly how to do this to make sure that your vote is absolutely counted. Otherwise, it will not count. And that is something really, really scary. So you please go to votespa.com and make sure that you're taking every single step to make sure that your vote is counted. But let me talk about marginalized communities. And I'm going to talk about this because I am running in the city of Allentown. This is where I live. I'm running on a 70% Latinx district, literally 87% minority district, which means that marginalized communities is what I represent, is what I am, is what I live, and is what I have to make sure that everyone understand what it means to vote for us, what it means for us to get out the vote. And I'm gonna start with the Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act. A lot of people know that I went through quite some issues after my June 2nd primary. And I'm not gonna get into all that, but I do wanna bring up some stuff that a lot of people were not aware of, including myself and including Lehigh County, right? The county was not aware of some sections of the Voting Rights Act. And that is the section for minority provision of the Voting Rights Act. That is the language section. That is the section that determines, based on the census, again, everything is connected. Census 2020, please make sure you fill out the census. I think today is the last day. So everything is connected. It really is. Everything is connected. Fill out your census because it determines everything, including the Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act determines that if you have a community that is more than 10,000 of its residents speak a different language, you have to, and by you, I mean the Board of Elections, that county has to, not like to, not might, not could, not should, you have, H-A-V-E, because I have an accent, so let's be clear, H-A-V-E, you have to provide proper representation. You have to provide people that are able to speak the language of those minorities, citizens. The Voting Rights Act literally covers Hispanic, Asian, and Indians. It is all that is covered on there. And I'm browsing to make sure that is right? Because then somebody's going to call me later and say, come on, Enid. Happens a lot, guys. I'm not a politician. This is my first run at all this. But you have to make sure that language are covered. And what I mean by that is bilingual poll workers, not just someone that has Santiago, Rivera, Rodriguez, Fernandez on their last name. Someone that is able to speak English and Spanish, okay? So you have to be able to be fluent in both. Not just speak it, read and write it, because you are responsible for helping these voters vote. You are responsible for making sure that every single vote is counted and that everyone has the same opportunity to cast their vote. That is huge. That is huge. So the 22nd district in Allentown is 70% minority, 70% Latinx. This Voting Rights Act directly slams in the face the 22nd district. City of Allentown on its own is 54% Latinx. That doesn't mean that everyone there does not speak English, but it means that you're Latinx, baby. So guess what, Lehigh County? You have to make sure you are providing bilingual. Bilingual, not just an accent, maybe like my kids. My kids speak this Spanglish that I don't even know what it is. Okay, only my grandmother understands this. They are Spanish, obviously. I always speak Spanish. I have a thick accent. Somehow these kids didn't get it, okay? Speaking Spanish all the time. Didn't get it. Missed the boat. But what happens then? They speak some Spanish that Wella understands it, Mommy understands it, Papi understands it, but you will never get whatever they're saying. You will need a Google translator for them. We need to make sure that you are fluent, that you could speak Spanish, you could read Spanish, and you could actually articulate Spanish so that if a voter asks you, ¿dónde pongo el nombre de Denise Santiago? You could say, oh, sí, ella está escribiendo aquí. I went to Spanish, guys, because that was in Spanish. That's what they need to figure out. What did Inez Santiago just said on this video? Send it back to Lehigh County so they could figure this out. But and I want to be huge on this, right? Because those in positions of power that do not want change are counting on you staying home. And this is something that it tugs at my heart. You see, the notebook went away. This is what happens every time. I write, and then I do this, and there goes the speech. Now passion comes out. Anita, please cut me off 2 minutes before I got to shut off. But this is what happens. People in position of power that don't want to see change, that want to keep marginalizing communities, that want to keep minorities out of positions of power, that want to make sure that we continue gentrifying without anyone able to represent those communities, are counting on you staying home. And you have stayed home for many decades. This is why they are counting on you to continue doing what you have done the majority of your life. And I get it. Listen, I get it. When you don't feel like you're represented, when you feel like your voice doesn't count, when you are seeing fraud on election, right? I get it. You feel, why am I going to take time out of my day? Why am I going to miss work when I need 2 jobs to pay my bills? Why am I going to make a line when I don't have time? Why am I going to, in the middle of a pandemic, expose myself and show up at the polling location? I get it, man. I get it. But guess what? So do they. So do they. And that is the reason why we continue to be left behind. That is the reason why you're having the George Floyds. That is the reason why you're having the Breonna Taylor with a wall being more important than her life. Why? Because those in position of power refuse to acknowledge you, refuse to acknowledge marginalized communities, refuse to acknowledge Black, brown, and poor. That is why. That is why I need every single person that is behind the screen to understand the power that you have. You have more power than you could ever imagine. Your one vote could turn everyone's life around. Guys, my election was dealt with fraud. I was down 55 votes. Do you know what could have happened if 100 people more would have came out that day? You could have stole 55, and guess what? The other 45 would have determined that. That is how important your single vote is in this election, okay? Do you think Trump is not going to challenge this? Do you think Lehigh County, Northampton County are not going to be the epic center of this election? Hello, they're going to use the 22nd district as a prime example of fraud on an election. Yes, so we need to make sure that the numbers are not close. That is what I'm saying. You need to make sure that you have a plan. You need to make sure that you take out your mom, your dad, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your neighbor. Everybody that you know has a plan. Make it a party. Listen, make it a party. We're going to have coffee. I got free Dunkin' Donuts coupons. We're all going to drive through Dunkin' Donuts, get our free coffee, and drive to the polling location. What else do you want from me? Whatever it takes that any one of us could assist you in making sure that you cast your vote and that you become the face of what is not going to happen again in 2016 is exactly what we need to do. I have committed myself. My life has stopped, okay? January, I decided to run for office. Yeah, I'm literally the last person on the boat, right? Decided to run for office. April 28th, I had a knee replacement schedule. Change. Now we have a June 2nd election. June 2nd happens, fraud. Guess what? Knee replacement, July 20th, change. July 20th hit, we're in the middle of going now to hearings to discuss this. Change. Why? Because you are that important. Because my babies are that important. Because my entire life is that important. That I would lose my leg before I allowed someone to take position and me sit back and not do everything in my power to make this happen. I would never want to wake up on November 4th like I did in 2016 in tears saying this has to be a nightmare. Never want that to happen again. What I did not do in 2016 was give it 150%. I gave it 89. And that 89 obviously was not good enough. So one thing that I could tell you, November 4th, I'm not going to wake up saying I could have done something else. I could have took one more person out with me. I should have knocked on my neighbor's door that day. I should have said hi to that neighbor that I never talked to simply because I don't know them. Well, guess what? Get to know them. Say hi. This is the time to do this. And I'm just not talking about my primary. I'm talking about everything in general. And understand your local elections are even more important than anything else. They literally determine everything that happens in your city, in your county, in your life, everything that affects you every single day. That is why I'm here today. That is why I'm hoping that you continue getting engaged. That is why we have 19 days. Please go to enetsantiago.com and send a volunteer message because we need people. We need people dropping off lid. We need people sitting at the polling booth. We need people making sure that our voters are not intimidated. I have committed myself to making sure that I put as many people in the polling locations as I possibly can. Not just because I'm a candidate, because I'm a warrior, because I'm a fighter. And I'll be damned if anybody is going to intimidate any of these voters that are trying to cast their ballot with any one of my volunteers out there. This is that serious.
Yeah, Anita, I agree 100%. This is serious, and I'm really glad that you brought up that local elections, local voting is so important because a lot of times people just come out, once every 4 years. Now, for those of you who do come out only every 4 years, please go vote. But also, don't forget to vote in local elections at the local level as well.
Primaries,
Absolutely.
primaries matter. Yes. Okay, go back. Anita, it's all yours.
Absolutely. And I love that you said we need more warriors. So we have another warrior, Paz, I here on the call with us. So Paz, do you want to talk a little bit about what you do both as a program director for Promise Neighborhood or being involved in Zero Youth Violence on getting that vote out, that message out?
Oh, yes. So the importance about getting the vote out, more importantly, is voter education, right? Because as we're going out here, there are a lot of misconceptions that are being told, and that has caused voter suppression, right? First misconception is that if you are a felon, you cannot vote. That is a lie. In Pennsylvania, as long as you are not in prison on the day of the election, you can vote. If you are already registered, right? If you are registered, if you are even in a halfway house, even if you are in work release, if you can physically walk out of prison without breaking the law to do so, you can vote. That is important to know, because there are many people, as we go out to register voters, that have been told, oh, I can't vote. There are people that come over from other states where the states that they came from, didn't allow felons to vote. But once they become a Pennsylvania resident, they have an identification, they have an address that shows that they are a resident of Pennsylvania. They, no matter what their background may have been, can now register to vote. And that is very, very important. Being able to make sure that our people understand that not only can you register to vote, but as of Tuesday, you can actually vote today. This past Tuesday, we did our voting today event. So we allowed people to help people to get educated on how to vote today. I heard Enid talk about, the importance of how to use the mail-in ballot. If you are confused on how to use the mail-in ballot, even better, if you can get to the county office. The county office closes at 4:30. You can actually take your mail-in ballot right to the voter's office and have it counted right then. You don't have, if you're in town and you haven't gotten your mail-in ballot yet, but you can go right to the window and say, I want to vote now. And you can fill out your application. You can vote right then and there. It's important that not only do we vote on, if you see what the shirt says, 11-3-20, we have the website up now where you can get information about voter rights, information about some of the candidates. Is bipartisan, so it's not pro Republican or pro Democrat. The website is 11320.life, right? So that you can understand what's going on in our local community, right? Understand what's going on in our local community. So the importance of voting, right? Especially, this is bigger than the president. What happens is many of us get distracted because we only focus on the actual executive branch, right? There are three branches of government, but we get caught up in only one branch, which is the executive branch. The executive branch only includes your president, your governor, your mayor, your president, your governor, your mayor, right? There are other forms of government that we need other branches, right? Your legislative, those are your House of Representatives. Those are your senators, right? Those are your state senators, your state reps. They make the laws, right? The legislative branch makes the laws both locally, federally, and statewide. And then most importantly, that judicial branch. Every judge, right? And listen to me clearly as we talk about these people, these cops getting off of cases. Every one of those judges were voted in by their constituency, right? We have to go out and vote so that those judges can no longer make bad decisions that affect our lives. We live in America where double jeopardy can be applied to certain cases. So now, because the AG in Kentucky didn't do everything that they can do to protect Breonna Taylor, right? We can't go back and even try some of those charges. So know that every attorney general, every district attorney, every judge, every magistrate is also voted in. So when you talk about not just the way funding is going, but your actual freedom is on the line. When they tell you that we are this is vote or die, this is a vote for life, we are truly doing that. Every time you sit home, you allow a judge to make a decision about your life that can be so detrimental. We've seen magistrates. I won't name any names, but there are people who know who I'm talking about. We see magistrates who made a living locking up single mothers for parking tickets because we didn't go out and vote, now have become county judges. So they can now lock you up for 30 to 50 years. This is so much bigger than just one position. Not to discount, right, the positioning of the president. Not to discount, the decision making that he gets. This is so important because we lost RBG, right? Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. So the next president will get to choose who her successor is, right? The next president will get to choose a Supreme Court justice. And the difference between Supreme Court justices and the judges that I talked about, is that they get to sit in their position for life. Federal judges sit in their position for life. So it's important, right, that we go out and vote. So October 19th at midnight, Monday, is the last time you can register to vote in Pennsylvania. Make sure not only do you register to vote, but make sure everyone that you know personally is registered to vote.
Wow, thank you, Paz. That was really amazing. And I really like that you highlighted the importance of voting when it comes to our judges, right? We don't really think about that. You vote for your judge. You need to know what they're thinking. If you watched, I don't know if anybody watched the Supreme Court nominees hearings. Honestly, I haven't watched it live because I've been here at this amazing peace conference. But looking at some of the highlights of it, or lowlights, I should say, some of the questions really showed her perspective on certain issues. For instance, when she said about LGBTQ communities that it's a sexual preference, I mean, come on, that's not how things work. Or not commenting on certain things. Like I know she, I'm very focused on climate change. So of course I listen to that, saying that she can't make an opinion on climate change because she's not a scientist, but she has an opinion on, COVID and cancer. I mean, shouldn't you then be an equal opportunity scientist? But yes, vote for your judges. This is so, so very important. And I wanted to ask, I know Promise Neighborhoods works in the community and focuses more on younger people, but what are you guys doing to bring out the vote?
Oh yes. So we have a canvassing crew that go out every day to door knock and register voters. We also set up tables at our local supermarket where we get a lot of traction there. We just did a partnership with Votes PA the last couple of days, where we actually encourage people to vote on Tuesday, which was the day that Election Day started. And then tomorrow, Friday, we are doing Community Appreciation Day at the market between 6th and 7th, and also between Hamilton and Linden. That is a voter registration event. So we are going to be registering voters during that event. We have a bunch of giveaways to incentivize people to come out. And of course, we're going to be doing that until, we're going to be having people going out every day until Monday at midnight.
Yeah, so if you know somebody who hasn't registered to vote, go get them registered to vote. Thank you, Paz. And our next speaker, Tara, will share her thoughts on the voting issue, as well as some of the things that are important for her. Take it away.
Okay, so that's all a tough act to follow because you guys covered a lot of material there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened in Northampton County and what is going on in Northampton County, because I am a county councilwoman there. And I know we have had a long year of changes, not only to our voting machines, but to the elections themselves. And two things have been really at the forefront of the discussion: the integrity of the elections and the exaggeration of voter fraud. Act 77 brought some historic changes that we haven't seen in 80 years. And with that brought chaos. Not only were we trying to get new machines that were threatened to be decertified that we might not have gotten funding for had Tom Wolf not appropriated a $90 million bond for. But people, the first election that we used these machines in, they were improperly configured. And because of this, there was some distrust. The second election, we had a lot to deal with in terms of proving ourselves. And we were very lucky, not lucky, but we had Amy Cozy at the helm of our elections commission, and she made sure that every vote was counted on election night. That's one thing that we're thinking about now. When will the votes be counted? How will they be counted? Will all of them be counted? When will the election be certified? There are a lot of doubts about whether or not that number will be determined the night of election. We're thinking it could possibly take weeks to understand who actually won the election. And a lot of that has to do with all the lawsuits that are coming to the forefront. We had to fight to put in remote ballot boxes, so that, like satellite ballot boxes, so that people could deliver their ballots. And now we have 4 locations in Northampton County. There's one at Bethlehem City Hall, obviously the Northampton County Courthouse, and that one at Northampton County Courthouse is in the Rotunda, and you can deliver your ballot there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can even deliver it on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. We also have one at the Northampton County Human Services Building, and that is open from 8 a.m. to 7. And then at the Northampton County 911 Center in Upper Nazareth from 8 to 4:30. So there are several locations. And again, this Act 77 extended registration. So now registration is extended to October 19th. You can vote by mail right up until the day of the election. And you can also use your vote by mail ballot on demand. If you did not apply for a vote by mail ballot, you can actually go down to the courthouse and demand a ballot and vote right then and there, which is very interesting because people have started to do it. So in no other election have we had people voting early and casting their ballot before November 3rd. This poses a dilemma for everybody who's running because it shortens the time period in which you have to get your message out. Now, it's no secret I'm running for state representative, and this election means a lot to me because it means the difference between flipping the House or status quo. We know that the House has had corruption, shenanigans with voting. Most recently, House Bill 1032 or House Resolution 1032, they wanted to choose basically who gets to vote and subpoena voting so that they could form a commission of 5, 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats who would determine how the vote goes. That's dangerous because that undermines your right to vote. We've talked about voter suppression, but there's so many voter laws that need to get changed that Act 77 is just a first step. We need open primaries. We need ranked voting. And why do we need that? Because right now we got 2 choices, this guy or that guy, all the time. We need ranked voting so that we can have more than 2 candidates on the ballot that could potentially win. Right now, it's always the choice between Democrat or Republican. And if you interject a 3rd or a 4th candidate in there, they take away votes from one, and then the popular vote doesn't actually win. Yes, we also need open primaries. We also need to stop purging the voter registry. When we go out and we talk to people, sometimes they don't know if they're registered. They registered too long ago. They've been taken off the registry because part of Act 77 said that they could purge the voting records. So now those people are taken out of the registry. They may or may not know that they have to register again. This is more voter suppression. Literally, you should be able to turn 18 and you get to vote. That's your right as a United States citizen. You get to vote. You're 18, there you go. There's your right. You don't have to register. It's a right that's instilled from that point on. No re-registry. That is the kind of shenanigans that go on. And now with the secrecy envelope and what they're calling naked ballots, if you don't have your secrecy envelope, your vote won't be counted. That secrecy mail for the mail-in ballot was meant to protect voters, but it wasn't meant to undermine or deprive them of their vote. The Republican Party is using that to, again, suppress the vote. We see so much voter suppression. And if I go back to 2016, where I knocked doors for the Hillary campaign with For Our Future, I see the voter suppression that happened. It's happening on Facebook. It's happening in social media. It's happening with every single tweet that Donald Trump creates in exaggerating voter fraud. It happens when people put out fake ballot boxes and try to collect. It happens when the mail that we have in Bethlehem is now rerouted to Scranton, sits there, and then comes back down to be delivered at the courthouse. This is all part of voter suppression. You have to ask yourself, what is on the line? When we look, the judges are extremely important. And what you need to know about Amy Coney Barrett is that she wants to go back to 1 vote per household. That means women's right, done. That means all of us who have fought and won for our rights to vote will be undermined because you will have 1 vote per household. That's not even logical anymore. We're going backwards instead of forwards. And that's a Supreme Court judge, and everybody's attention is kind of on that shiny object. But meanwhile, all the courts underneath are being stacked with conservative Republican judges who will undermine your vote to choose, your right to choose, who will undermine gay marriage, who will undermine the Health Care Act, who will undermine every single voting right that has protected you. This isn't us against them. It's not Democrat versus Republican. It really is about the powers that be that want to keep power locked in a small group of people that keep us fighting with each other. Your vote is your power to undermine that divisiveness that has caused us to fight amongst ourselves. And our common goal should be to fight as one united front to make sure that there are free and fair elections and that we elect people who will act in the best interest for the greatest good for the most people. And that's us.
Yeah.
So I don't have much else to say, but go vote.
Yeah,
It's your right and it's your duty.
absolutely. You know, I love that you guys are all so passionate about it. And I wanted to bring up something that you you talked about, voter suppression, because that reminded me of something that Anita was saying yesterday, or 2 days ago, when we were having this conversation about, particularly about Hispanic names. Do you remember what you were talking about, the double last names? Do you want to share that with the
Oh
group?
God, yes. How could I forget? So many in the Hispanic community have multiple last names. Usually it's your mothers and your fathers, or your fathers and then your mothers. A lot of people continue to this day to be turned away from the polling booth simply because the poll workers, to no fault of their own, let me clarify, are not trained properly to be able to identify the citizens, and then instead take away their right to vote. 22nd district primaries, 70% Latinx district. We started getting phone calls from voters. I mean, we had a massive social media campaign going. COVID, we were in red. We had a massive social media campaign. People started calling and letting us know they're turning me away. I'm going to mention this specific case because it's just fresh in my head. This old lady in her 80s was turned away from the place she has voted for more than 20 years. Her daughter reached out to us on social media frustrated and said, there's no way you're ever winning this election. They're turning away your voters. And I'm like, of course, red flags everywhere. What do you mean? What are you talking about? How could I help? She said, they just sent my mom home because they could not find her name at the polling location. She has voted in the same place for more than 20 years. One of my volunteers went out and said, if Enid picks up your mother right now, 7:30 at night, right this second, will she be okay with going with me to the polling location? Yes, as long as it's Enid. They figure the candidate is not going to harm my mother at 7:30 at night, taking her from her senior building. And we did that. I picked up the lady, really nice lady, brought her to the polling location. Nadia, my full bilingual volunteer, met me there. The lady did not speak English, by the way. Walks in with her. Lord and behold, there it goes. She's not here. You got to vote on, you got to register to vote. Nadia then challenges that. She said, well, are you even going to try looking through an address? Are you going to try any other option? The gentleman was not able to find her. He flips the computer out of frustration to show her that she's not there. Nadia decides to put in there a hyphen in between her two last names, a little line, a hyphen. Lord and behold, there goes the lady that has been voting at the same polling location for more than 20 years. That simple. I mean, it is that simple for voter suppression to happen. It does not mean that we think poll workers are out there purposely suppressing the vote, even though some of them are, but it does not mean that. But absolutely lack of training for poll workers is cause for voter suppression. They had no idea. And the gentleman that was helping her was Hispanic. So it's not, it was a white person that didn't understand. It was a black person that didn't get it. No, it was a Hispanic that also had two last names. Somehow it slipped through his mind. He just didn't think of it. And by doing that, he was literally turning away our voters. Again, this happened at 7:30 at night. Lord knows how many voters were turned away at that point, but it's simply lack of training.
Yeah, absolutely. And here you had, as you said, one Hispanic who didn't realize that he can just do that, or that might make a difference. But often it's somebody who doesn't know. So we actually need diversity training for our poll workers too, so that they're familiar with some of these issues that might pop up. Now, Pasi brought up the incarcerated or formerly incarcerated population that here in Pennsylvania can vote. And I know Enid posted that if they are, let me look for the post, that if they have a felony, anyone that has a felony or that has been in jail or prison can vote in the state of Pennsylvania as well. That's very important. Most people don't realize that, right? You hear so much about this from other states that this is an issue, that you don't realize that here in Pennsylvania, there's a different situation. So you can.
And Anita, just to jump in there, because I don't want to miss this point. If you are in jail, okay, I'm going to take it even a step farther out there. If you are incarcerated, you are able to vote as long as you have a misdemeanor or have not been tried. You still have not went in front of that judge to try you. The only exception to not being able to vote in prison in the state of Pennsylvania, if you have a felony. So if you have a misdemeanor or you have not went to see the judge, go to the counselor, family members, tell them, go see the counselor and tell them you want to vote. You could send in either an absentee or a mail-in ballot. I'm not 100% sure which one of those two it is, but you could vote from jail. You could absolutely vote from jail. And many people have no idea that they can vote from jail as long as it's a misdemeanor or they have not been in front of the judge yet.
Wow,
Can you explain to people how someone in jail would get their ballot?
So they would have to go to the counselor, and the counselor is supposed to provide them that. We had a lot of pushback just recently. I was working with the Color of Justice, trying to get packages to every single inmate inside Lehigh County Prison. We got pushback. Yeah, can you believe that? Yeah, believe that. Criminal
know that
justice
they do.
reform. They did not allow that to happen. They also did not allow us to go in and do a voter registration drive. Again, criminal justice reform again. A family member could simply mail you that ballot. A family member could do that. But legally, if you go to the counselor and you ask for a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot, I need clarity on that one, they have to provide it to you. It's your civil right. They
I think
cannot
it would be an
deny that.
absentee ballot.
Is it an absentee?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think you would have to be able to mail it back. Do you
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yeah, you have
So-
to mail it.
Yeah.
You have to mail it. So make sure that when you send that, if you're going to mail that, send it in with a stamped envelope. Okay? And let's not forget that the way the prison system is so messed up that mail literally has to go to Florida to get checked before it comes back to Pennsylvania to then go through the warden to then be given to the inmate. So it's a long process. With that, what I'm saying is you have to do it like 3 weeks ago. Like you have to sit right now and say, shoot, I'm sending Poppy a mail-in ballot. I'm sending Poppy this. Absolutely. But have them go to the counselor. That is the fastest way and easiest way to get this done.
I think that's a message that we definitely need to make sure that perhaps not for this election, but for all future elections, that we get that word out. So that's absolutely important. Now, just for 1 second, I would like to have the director of the Center for Civic and Community Engagement come on to share some additional information, and then we'll get back to continue this conversation with our panelists and also to wrap things up. So Stanley, can you, you can share, right? You have the...
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Anita. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. So, I just wanna can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
I just wanna give a quick update on some of the activities and initiatives on what we do here at NCC to have our students civically engaged, more focused on voter engagement and civic education. So, and Pat Simpson was right when he said that voter education is very, very important. Although we have the voter registration and voting aspect, but if people don't know why we are asking them to vote or how they can vote or their rights, all our efforts to getting them to the poll might be ineffective. So on our website, we have a lot of resources, but I'm just gonna go through a couple of pages that are related to voter engagement. So through our recent partnership with Andrew Goodman Foundation, we received a customized voter engagement digital tool that has all the election 2020 information and resources. So students, faculty, and staff can go on this page. As you can see, it has the countdown to the election day. And here they can click on this link to register to vote, request an absentee ballot, and also apply to become a poll worker. And we also have important election-related dates and deadlines here, just to keep people informed on, and this is more specifically for the state of Pennsylvania. And then students can also use this platform to pledge to vote, and they can put in their information and maybe choose to put in their email address or text or phone number to receive a text message alert based on the information that they provide in here. And right at the bottom of this page, we have the student ambassadors who are working collaboratively with us here at the center to get student voters. And here we have a little bit more information on how the foundation was established. And I don't know if anyone knows the story about Andrew Goodman that was killed by the KKK. So these are our partnership with this agency has been very, very helpful, and we see this as a great resource for our students. And then regarding the events and activities that we have been doing here at NCC. So I'm just gonna go ahead and share the full calendar of our events right here. So this is our event from September through the month of November. So we set aside Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays as our virtual voter registration sessions. So students who are on campus can come, who need like technical assistance or information on how to register to vote or request absentee ballots, can come to our center and we can provide them with direction and guidance. We facilitated 2 Democracy 101 sessions. The first session was voter representation of Latinx population on September 15th. And then the last session was on student loan debt policy on October 1st. We also had 2 info sessions on voter engagement this semester. We did the first one on civic engagement without the right to vote. And a lot of things that were covered during this session. I know that Past talked about felony conviction and all that. So we cover all those aspects based on the state of Pennsylvania. If you have felony convictions, like what are your rights and all that. So we kind of like cover that. And also, if you're not a US citizen, how can you participate to vote? You can do like peer-to-peer advocacy, talk to your fellow students on various issues and, trends that are going on. And also you can, serve as a poll worker. We keep talking about poll worker, use your power, use your skills. If you're bilingual, go out there and support and all that. So, and then the second info session was with our student athletes. It was so exciting to know that about 70% of our student athletes have registered to vote at their current address. So, we spent an hour with them, sharing them with some resources and letting them know that we are here to support them. We are here to, help you as much as we can. In addition to the info session, with our student athletes, we had an interactive forum that was facilitated by one of our faculty members here at NCC on his recently published book on September 24th. The book is titled 13 Minutes, Winning, Losing, and Learning as Taught by the 2016 Election. It was a great session. He brought up a lot of points and, like what we learned from 2016 and what are we looking for the 2020 election. So we had a lot of students who participated in this session. So finally, we have 2 upcoming events. On October 30th, we are hosting a virtual Halloween party. Right here, we have the graphic right here. So that is open to our faculty, staff, and students. And the theme for this party is get out the vote. We see this as an opportunity to do a final push to encourage students to vote and, and also use that platform as civic education. Talking about, we're gonna do like Kahoots on the ins and outs of the elections, the roles of the president and vice president, House of Representatives. So it's gonna be more like a fun game, Halloween vibe, but also we are kind of like, trying to get our students to be civically educated. And then after the election, 2 weeks after the election, we have 2 interactive forum sessions. So to kind of like encourage people to share their perspectives and experience in the 2020 electoral process. So we have the first session on Tuesday and the second session is on Thursday. So anyone can choose any of these days to attend. And last week was our voter education week. So our National Voter Education Week, we did a lot of campaigns from Monday through Friday. We did hashtag voter plan ready, vote ready. We Ready 2020, which is on Friday. So we were kind of like putting a lot of stuff on our social media and also working with our offices and a lot of departments here at NCC in getting out the information as well. And as we all know that our vote early day is October 24th, but since it is a Saturday, we plan on doing our awareness 3 days before during the week. So we're gonna be doing a lot of social media activations, putting up information, and also using our Blackboard, putting up announcements and resources on, letting people that, okay, you can vote. You don't have to wait till November 3rd to go out and vote, that you can vote right now. So yeah, that's what we are doing here at NCC in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Stanley.
I'm back, Ken. Thank you. Thank you so much, Stanley, for giving us all that information, and of course to all of our panelists. Now, one of the things that we've been doing at the end of each panel was to find out what you think we at NCC, the community, the students, the faculty, the administration can do to support the issues that you have addressed here today. And it's not just because we want to wrap up the panel, but because we will this evening have a wrap-up panel that will include President Erickson and the larger community, where we will be bringing all of the lessons that we have learned and all of the messages that we have from the panelists. So I asked that the three panelists, Need, Paz, and Tara, think about this. What can the NCC community, students, faculty, administration do to support the issues that you have addressed today? And I'm going to go in order that you spoke. So Need, and in very short, in like a minute or so, Need, what do you think we could do?
I think you need to get completely involved even outside the college, right? There's so many different organizations that are right now looking for support, candidates that you might support that are looking for support, because the biggest impact you're going to be making is on election day, making sure that people get out to vote. Either you want to be a poll watcher, whether you want to sit just outside a poll with a couple of different other friends of yours to make sure everybody is voting and not getting turned away. And if they are, you're able to call someone to help them, whether it's taking people to the polls on election day, being kind of like an Uber, volunteering your time for that. But absolutely, you need to make sure that voters get out, and you need to do everything in your power. So I would say use your youth, use your power, use your wisdom, use, that strength that young kids have, man. I remember when I had that super exciting, high passion, and I was always jumping and screaming. Now that I'm not doing that now, but it was a lot prettier and nicer back then. But use that to motivate people and let them know why. This is why I'm voting. Find one issue and stick to that and let everybody know this is why I'm voting. Why are you voting? Let's go together. Have a buddy system. Don't just believe that someone is going to go out and vote. You have no idea what's going to happen on election day. Somebody might wake up sick. Somebody might just wake up literally with anxiety and not want to deal with that day. Get a buddy system. Get at least one person that is going to go out with you on election day. And then start doing that around. Start finding friends that need support. Listen, spend your whole day taking people to the polls, or spend your whole day giving back to the community by sitting in front of a poll booth, making sure that no one is getting intimidated and getting turned away. You have the youth. You have the power. You have now the knowledge. All you have to do is get a plan, put it in action, and go out and do it.
Oh, absolutely. Get a plan. That's so very important. And of course, mobilize. Paz, what are you thinking?
I was thinking the greatest thing any one person can do, right, is to really be personally accountable, and then asking the people around them to do the same, right? Charlie Tremendous Jones says you're the average of the 5 people you keep around the most. So keep it simple, right? You and 5 people, right? And then ask those 5 people to hold 5 people accountable. My life is simple. I have brothers and sisters. So just start with my brothers and sisters and making sure that each one of us voted, and that each one of us had a friend that voted, right? You don't realize how fast and how quickly you can actually cover a whole community by really just holding yourself accountable, and then the people closest to you accountable, and asking them to do the same. People are going to be moved more when it's somebody that they know, love, or trust, giving them information or giving them, reasons to go out and vote. Like Ina gave so many different passion and reasons, and she did such an awesome and amazing job. But each person has something. For me, I'm a new grandfather, so protecting, the rights of my new granddaughter, who's so precious at 3 months. These decisions that we make right now don't just affect us, but affect generations after us. So being able to telling people, that budget statements are also based on your voting, right? So people are going to put money where they know super voters are going to be, or repeated voters are going to be at. Part of the reason we don't get the funding in some of the programs that we're looking to get funded is because we don't vote. So let's keep it really simple, right? The simplest way is first raise your hand and say, I'm going to be accountable, right? And then say, who do I have the influence, right? Who can I influence enough to hold them accountable to? I say 5 people. If you don't have 5 people, it's okay. Maybe you only have influence over 2 people, you, your mother, and your dad. That's okay. But who can you hold accountable as you're accountable? And then you can let the dominoes fall from that.
And I like that you mentioned that, you look at your granddaughter and think about their future. And that's so important. I think besides just voting, you need to know why you're voting, not just immediately by why, but the larger picture, the bigger picture, the future as well. Thank you so much, Paz, for that. Tara, I'm asking the same question to you as to Anita and Paz. What can the NCC community, students, faculty, and administration do to support the issues that you have addressed here today?
Well, I think the faculty can definitely encourage students to register and to vote. They can make election day a holiday, maybe not have class on that day. I know that's tough, but it would be really helpful to encourage students to go out there and help with the elections on election days by being poll watchers and by also
I love that idea.
By being poll watchers and maybe even somebody who can transport individuals to the polling locations. That's a great idea too. Prior to the election though, I think it would be great if we could register more voters.
That would be awesome.
Every student at Northampton County
I'd
could
like
potentially
throw that out there. I don't know how we do that, but I like that idea. Because you think about
anyway. Every student could be registered at Northampton County Community College. And you could do that by hosting booths, hosting tables, or registering them online through your online classes, making sure that everybody has a link to votespa.com and making sure that they understand. So I think that would be really important. The technical difficulties are killing me, but no, it's very important to start early to make sure that people know that they can vote, that they should register to vote, that they have the right to vote, and they have access to voting by having the day off, and they should get involved in these elections. I know that I have extended internships to some individuals at various universities and colleges around here, including NCC, and some people have taken me up on it. Students on the weekends could come out and drop literature or go to some of our events. I mean, when we're socially distancing, I realize that's hard, but right now we're dropping lint, we're doing it safely, we all wear masks, you put the piece of lint on the door and then you walk away. Students are very good at that because they're young and fit and they're ready to go. So that is how NCC can encourage students to be part of these elections. Start early, register to vote, get active in a campaign. It's a really great experience. Give them off so that they can go to the polls and help out on election day.
Oh, and absolutely get active on the campaign, because next thing you know, you're our next Northampton council person, right?
Right.
As what happened with you. But absolutely, so very important. And every one of you came and brought us some really good information about what, first of all, who can vote, how they can vote, how we can encourage more people to vote. And I really liked one of the last things that Tara was talking about, you know, that wouldn't it be great if voting election day was a holiday? In some countries it is. In some countries it's on a weekend. You know, they're encouraging people to vote. In some countries, if they only hit 80% participation, they're very, very sad. Here in the US, we're happy at 50, you know, think about
Honestly, yeah, no, if we get like 25% of the entire population to vote, that's like almost amazing too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if we get 50% of the Democrats, registered Democrats to vote, that's almost amazing. There's,
Yeah.
in my district alone, there's about 47,000 registered voters. On any given election, we might have at most 38,000 going out to vote. Now we know that there's many more than 64,000 residents in the district, it's 138, but they're not registered. They can't vote.
Absolutely.
And that's the tragedy. Everybody should have one vote, go to the polls, registered all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Holiday.
it's whether it's because they have to work. And again, this is the, you know, discriminating against people who can't go to work because they can't take the day off. Or if it's a long line, they have to say, you know what, I got to get out of line. I got to get to work, because it's either their job, their survival that day. And they don't have the time to think about what's going to happen a year, 2 years down the line, because they have to eat. But with that, I'd love to continue the conversation. And as Ken often says, you know, we have a lobby, we have a lounge where we can continue voting conversation. I really want to thank Enid, Paz, and Tara for joining us in this panel on voting. And of course, it's so very important. But we do need to wrap things up because we have another panel coming up in 5 minutes on climate justice. So I hope you guys can join us there too. And of course, you know, listen to what everyone has been saying. Vote, 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 make a plan, get people out there, get involved, and spread that message that your voice matters. So thank you so much for everyone attending. Thank you so much for the panelists. And, you know, again, thanks so much. Bye, Enid. Bye, Paz.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Tara. And bye, everyone else.
Bye.
Thanks. See you guys.
See you. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Rachel, can you hear me?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, there's another panel, so we can talk afterwards, okay?
Okay, is the next panel in a different Zoom? Is that how?
No, you have to get out and then come back in through that the next panel.
Awesome. See you in like 2 minutes then.
Okay, I'll see you there. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
I've got to change my background while I'm in here. So I'm ready for the next one.
Oh, wow. I missed the end of that, huh?
What?
I missed the end of that, huh?
You did, but it's okay. I'm gonna go I sent you the climate justice background too, if you want it.
Nice, nice. I think I'm going to stick with the vote one.
Yeah, I like the vote one. But anyway, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna get some water in the next 2 minutes and go over there. I know at least one of the panelists is already there waiting till you let in. So I'll see you there. Can you, just in case my internet has been going in and out today, if I get knocked out, just, you know.
Yeah, just call me if that happens.
Okay.
I might be in for a little bit. Okay.
Is that Dara or who's that? Who's sitting next to you? Ah, okay. Hi, how are you? Okay. Oh, I have to kick the dog out too. Anyway, I'll see you there. Bye.